for October 14th. Tony, would you please call roll?
Arenas?
Here.
Davis?
Here.
Camus?
Here.
Jones?
Here.
Ricardo?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, we're all here. That's good. We'll start with a review of the final agenda for this Tuesday. And that's October 20th. We'll start with a review on pages, it looks like 3 and 4. Is that right, Tony?
Page 6 is the first one with an
Oh,
actual.
is that right? Okay, I'm
Yeah.
still catching up. Thank you. So let's start on pages 6 and 7. Are there any proposed changes? Okay, pages 8 and 9. Any proposed changes on 10 and 11? And several deferred items, 12 and 13. Any proposed changes? And 14 and 15. That's it. Forgive me, I'm having a little problem with my own device. Do we have any ads on this?
We do. The ads just came out, but we do have a page 16 and 17. So I'm
I
sharing.
do. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
That's okay.
Yes, land use items on 16 and 17. Any changes there?
And then the ad sheet came out just minutes before the meeting. So here it is.
Okay, related to COVID. So there are 2 items, both relating to ratifying emergency decisions. Okay.
These were tentatively scheduled for the 27th, Mayor, but in discussions with staff, we do need to move them up to the 20th, which is
Okay,
the
great.
reason for the ad sheets.
Okay, thank you, Lee. All right, let's go to the public. There's a person with a phone number ending 5140. Welcome. If you could please unmute yourself, then we'll be able to hear you. You can unmute yourself by pushing *6, I believe.
Hey, what's going on, City Council? It's me again. You know, the guy that people call in and want to talk to the city attorney to have me removed. Well, anyway, watching this hearing committee here, and all the people who you guys support and vote for, they're getting shot down in flames by this Amy Coney Barrett. This is really good. Watching your people lose really hard on national TV. You know, the Kamala Harrises, the Blumenthal's, all the people who you people on that city council love. This city council in San Jose is a disgrace. You know what else you guys need to do?
Would you like to speak on the agenda? We're speaking specifically on the agenda for October 20th. So why don't you focus your comments?
What's the agenda? What's the agenda? I can't even bring it up on the internet because your website's so crappy. What is it?
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I think our next public speaker is Blair Beekman.
Hi, happy Wednesday, happy mid-October. Start up here. To speak to the COVID items of 3.1, although its economic questions may be here for a while, hopefully the COVID-19 virus itself can run its course in another year and a half. If we all make the efforts, we can demand that a COVID-19 vaccination can be more fully ready for US public distribution by late January 2021. The next question is, as individuals, will we want to take the medications? Be wary and be careful that COVID-19 cases have been on the rise in both New York and in LA. To conclude, in this time of COVID-19, I hope we can see the work of other cities and counties across the Bay Area and across the country at this time, and take to heart and want to emulate what we see in safe, good ideas and practices. With the telecommuting items of cut commute item on next week's City Council agenda, A reminder, we are making a lot of efforts at this time to install much more new 4 and 5G broadband technology in local neighborhoods that will have much more surveillance technology as a part of its neighborhood installation. As I always try to remind, please consider how open public policies and the future of technology can walk hand in hand, as these are the ideas of better reasoning and open democratic process meant to develop ideas of peace and long-term community sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beekman. Okay, returning to the panel. Is there a motion or comment?
Motion to approve the agenda for October 20th with an ad sheet for items 8.2 and 8.3. And I know we discussed this last week, but to have a 15-minute time limit at least displayed. So a soft 15 minutes.
Is that a second, Councilmember Davis?
Yes, I will second. I had a question about whether we were starting at 11 or 11:30.
What's your pleasure, Vice Mayor?
Currently it's 1:30, correct?
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have 3.1 and probably a lot of items, but I don't see a lot of.
Yeah, I don't see. I want to keep it. My preference would be to keep it at 1:30.
Okay.
Me too, as long as we can have that 15-minute time clock.
Okay. All right. Any other comments?
I do have a question. I know
Yeah.
that we weren't able to run the clock somehow simultaneously with the meeting. Are we able to do that now? Are we able to display?
We are. The problem we have, I think, is that the whole screen gets taken up by the clock and then we're not able to talk to each other. Henry, have we found a fix for that one?
So far, the most obvious one would be having one of the little squares that you see just be focused on a timer that's running.
Yeah, that's easy.
Which seems pretty right. Yeah, so at the moment, that's all I have drafted up. I can look more into it over the weekend when I have a little more time and see if I can think of something more Silicon Valley friendly. But
I appreciate the creativity. So we're going to see Henry's Mickey Mouse watch on one of our screens.
yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Cool. Whatever it takes. It's all good. Okay, let's vote.
Reyes,
Yes.
Davis,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the agenda for October 27th. And we'll start on pages 5 and 6. Ask if there are any changes to this agenda. Pages 7 and 8. Pages 9 and 10. Pages 11 and 12.
Mayor, item 7.1 is drawn a lot of interest.
Yeah.
So it might be good to have that as a not before, whatever.
Not before 5?
Not before 5 would be good.
Okay. And then pages 13 and 14, I believe, are next. Okay. We'll go to the public. Do we have any ad sheet on this one, Tony?
No.
Mr. Beekman?
Hi, thank you. This is going to be maybe my heavy for the day. I think there's an item about yearly SLES funding, which is, I think, federal government, maybe state, but state or federal government funding for, national security, technology, issues and law enforcement stuff. And I just felt it was time to really, it hasn't been said enough that we're not talking enough about the ideas of what can be demilitarization in San Jose. We're talking about ideas of reform, and equity is a beautiful, lovely thing. And, the ideas of, there is an overall openness of how we can talk about things. I wish I could hear more dialogue about demilitarization. And that means, how are we going to address technology? It was such an important concept to you, when the mayor first became mayor back in 2014, but that was work dedicated to the ideas of surveillance and data collection, and basically how to harass people and make people uncomfortable in the name of future innovation. And I have been doing for 5 years now, trying to stress the idea that all of that sort of technology and new inventiveness has to have a complementary idea of open public practices and open public policies, and to work on that proactively together. That's how you build an innovative future. And San Jose has lacked in that department, really. And I know you're trying to make up, and I've been saying this for 5 years. I just hope you can learn to practice that and make it an open, fair process that does walk hand in hand, technology and open accountability practices. And I wish you could learn to promote those ideas instead of continuously hiding them. That's how we leave the era of war and its shock doctrine and the military industrial complex. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, back to the committee. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a person with the phone number 5140. Welcome.
Yeah, I feel the same way the previous caller feels. All this technology and is bad. You have the police wear the cameras, but they turn them off because, well, they're ashamed of what they do for a living. They should be. Hey, remember all the photo radar that we had for traffic lights and speeding and all that? Remember how it went away because it wasn't anywhere around where you guys were and the police department? You guys remember that? How you carefully made sure that a 3-mile radius wasn't anywhere near the traffic lights that were near City Hall and the worthless San Jose Police Department? Nowhere to be found. Nor was there photo radar.
Sir,
so people, couldn't. No, but this
do you want to
is
speak on the agenda, sir?
I like how you guys use technology.
Sir,
You use it.
would you like to speak on the
to
agenda?
abuse the public, and you know it. This is not.
Okay, back to the committee. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Let's vote.
Arenas,
Yes.
Davis,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Liccardo.
Aye.
I'm confirming that 7.1 is not before 5 p.m.
Oh, that wasn't part of the motion. Did you
Oh,
want to-
yeah, sorry. I meant to include that. Yes. With
Okay.
7.1, not before 5 p.m.
Would anyone like to change their vote if that were the part of the motion?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. That's approved. Thank you. The public record item E is next.
Motion to note and file.
Second.
Mr. Beekman?
Hi. I can try to vouch for the last caller. He's possibly trying to talk about the SLES item, and if he could phrase that next time, that's how he can maybe talk about it more if he needs to again, or a subject like that. There was a really nice public record this week about the in lieu fees, and a person just very nicely stated the amount was too small. And it was just nice to read. And, I hope that we're learning important lessons at this time that, we're respecting, this time of COVID. Large corporations, they're making a ton of money still at this time. And I think there can be ways that you can ask a little more of builders and developers, even though it can be difficult. So I hope, we're learning important lessons at this time, that as we get out of COVID in the next year or two, that those low in lieu fees now can raise up a bit in a year or two, and we'll know how to do that. So good luck in those efforts. I've been attending city council meetings in Redwood City and Fremont lately. They are really working on housing issues as an ideas to address, police defund and how to build a future of community with less of a reliance on police. And they're really asking the questions: what is good housing practices? What are good low-income housing practices? So they're doing something remarkable. Good luck in what you can do. I wanted to speak about a few items that I'm going to have to wait about a bit longer. But I guess just to conclude, think about very low and extremely low income and mixed income housing. Study them a bit and look around. And we've been doing this good work already. How do we do that in this modern time? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beekman. All right, back to the committee. There was a motion, wasn't there?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay. Let's vote.
Arenas,
Yes.
Davis,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye. And just with regard to that item that was submitted by the Winchester Neighborhood Advisory Committee, I would just encourage if there are any folks there who would like to submit information to us about engineering of this this cap over of the freeway and what it might cost, that would be helpful information to know. Just invite them to submit whatever information you might have from looking at other cities. Okay. On to the consent calendar. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, this is G1 consent. Mr. Beekman.
Hi, is this the item with the Filipino month?
It is.
Good. I'd like to speak a few words on this, if that's okay. Thank you. It being Filipino Heritage Month, Celebration Month, I was a bit taken by the words about the first Filipino arriving in late 1500s in North America. It should be duly noted, but as we're trying to understand our history as a human species, why not consider that, we were sailing the globe a lot sooner than Columbus in 15 whatever. And it'd be interesting to learn. I think we're learning to be more interested in life before 1500, basically, or 1492. So, how do we get back to those practices? How do we get back to those efforts in that time before 1492 in North America? And I think that's what we're trying to address. And so thank you for this item. Obviously, the current leader in the Philippines, it's important to work to talk to him about humanistic ideas and ways that don't have to harm people to solve problems. And I do not doubt the problems within the Philippines, but he's taken a tact that I think we're all trying to question and hopefully really learn how he can calm down, basically, and if he can. And we're trying to develop good ideas and good models and good understandings so people don't have to be killed and good people don't have to be killed. So good luck in all of our efforts, and what this sort of Heritage Month should be reminding us of, and what we should be aware of, and what to work on with Filipino celebrations this month. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, then, on the consent item, let's vote.
Arenas,
Yes.
Davis,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, on to item 2, which is the Redistricting Commission. there's a memorandum I've submitted and regarding the recommendations of Common Cause and recommending we incorporate those. I just asked that this all move to the full council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
As motion and second, three members of the committee would like to speak. The person with the phone number ending 5140.
Yeah, you didn't let me speak on the last issue regarding the Filipino month. You guys skipped over me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So can I tell you how delighted I am about Filipino month?
I suppose you could, sure.
Yeah, okay. Well, I am very much so. Filipino people have been coming to California for a quarter of a millennium, over 250 years. People like to read, people who want to read about what it was like during the time before Europeans should read a book called A World Transformed by Joshua Paddleson. It's available at San Jose Public Library. And it'll be a good book for any of you on the city council to read so you can know what California was like before all these tech people moved in, among other people. And it'll also give you an idea of how to control floods and fires, which we still are unable to do due to well, lack of knowledge. Native American people knew more about it, handed it off to the Spanish. What happened after that, I don't know. But if the Filipino people are going to have a month, whatever happened to the Italian Heritage Month, man? Remember that? Remember when you had the statue removed because you let the brown and proud move it out of the city hall? Whatever happened to Italian American Heritage Day or month? What about us, right? Hey, I love the Filipino people. You know, I love everybody. But what about Italians, Sam? If you forgot about your own race, your own group of people, your own culture, your own religion, and that goes for all the other Roman Catholics who are sitting on the city council there, and people of Italian American heritage. Where's our month? I want you to answer that today, Sam, because I'm never going to let up until it happens. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I believe it's Helen Greco. Welcome. Forgive me, I mispronounced your name, Helen.
Thank you. Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Helen Greco, and I'm the Northern California organizer for Common Cause. Common Cause is a 50-year-old nonpartisan organization dedicated to building an inclusive democracy, advocating for accountable and representative government at all levels. We have worked with our allies to establish the California Citizens Redistricting Commission, among other redistricting commissions. We support redistricting processes that are as independent, inclusive, accessible, and participatory as possible. We are grateful to see the reforms that strengthen the transparency and independence of San Jose's Advisory Redistricting Commission. We are strongly supportive of 6 of the reforms. The mayor is choosing to go further than our original recommendation, which was to ban ex parte communications between redistricting commissioners and city elected officials. We think both approaches are preferable to the status quo. More importantly, further actions are needed for the city of San Jose to create a truly inclusive, accessible, community-driven redistricting process. Currently, the Advisory Commission is required to conduct at least 3 public hearings. This is a fraction of what is actually required. The redistricting process needs to be publicized far and wide to ensure community education and engagement. Outreach must be translated in a wide range of languages. Dozens of hearings should be held with live translation in Spanish and other non-English languages. All hearings should be accessible to persons with disabilities and held on evenings and weekends with childcare provided. The commission needs to create a way for a wide range for the community to engage with them and provide testimony, written, oral, online, offline, and so on. These choices may be in the hands of the Advisory Redistricting Commission, not the council, but the council must allocate the budget needed to get the process right. Redistricting must lift up community voices. Furthermore, the January 7th, 2021 deadline for appointing commission members is too early. The new council members take office on January 1st. The deadline for appointment should be later in January. The city has until February 1st to seat the commission. Lastly, while we support the creation of an independent redistricting commission, we believe it needs thorough review, so it's the best fit for San Jose's community. Thank you.
Did we lose Sam?
Oh, I thought I was lost. Okay, maybe.
Okay, I'll go ahead and call the next speaker. Jeff?
Members of the committee, Mayor and Vice Mayor, would like to draw your attention to a late letter that we sent in this afternoon, signed by Californians for Justice, the Community Health Partnership, Latinos United for a New America, Minority Business Consortium, Somos Mayfair, Unite Here Local 19, Silicon Valley Rising, and my organization Working Partnerships. While we agree with the principles in the mayor's proposal, certainly eliminating conflicts of interest, transparency, accountability, respecting human rights and diversity, we have a disagreement about some of the provisions, particularly number 5 and number 7. As you heard from colleagues from Common Cause, there's concerns about this idea of a ban on ex parte communication and what that would do to the community's participation in this process. By banning all forms of ex parte communication, it would really limit how civil rights organizations, how community organizations, how neighborhood associations, how they can feed into this process, how they can communicate with staff. They would be banned from communicating with staff. How they can communicate with the representatives from their district. They would be banned from such communication. And what that does in terms of strengthening the powers of staff and those who set the agenda for this commission, including the chair of the commission, who's appointed by the mayor. We believe it's better to have more communication. Certainly, we could look at things to promote transparency about what communication is taking place, but an all-out ban on ex parte communication, we think is quite suspect, and we would encourage the council to consider alternatives. Thank you. And then lastly, just on the, we think because we created the Charter Change Commission, perhaps we should refer that idea to that commission rather than having staff work on it and bringing it back to council. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mayra?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Hola, my name is Mayra Pelagio, and I am working with Luna, Latinos United for a New America in the east of San Jose. And my organization is concerned with point number 5 in the mayor's October 9th memo, which is a proposed ban on communications to commissioners outside of public comment at public meetings. Luna, just like other organizations in the east side of San Jose, we care deeply about making sure that everyone in San Jose has a voice and representation in our political process. We've invested hundreds of hours making calls, texts, and knocking on doors to ensure every resident of San Jose is counted in the 2020 census. Our campaign started back in October of last year. And with this proposed ban, if a community member or group wish to express in detail a significant concern about redistricting, they would be limited to just 2 minutes of public comment. And this deeply restricts the amount and depth of input that any member of the public can give on redistricting. And not only that, but for working people juggling multiple jobs or people who have caregiving responsibilities and limited resources for childcare or elderly care, it is incredibly tough to make it out to public meetings, especially now that if they're virtual, a lot of our members will would need assistance to be part of these meetings. And every member of our community equally deserves to have their vote, no matter and their voices heard, no matter their status, especially in redistricting. This is why we urge you to vote against point number 5 of the mayor's memo. Thank you.
Thank you. JT?
The thing I'm not going to miss about San Jose is all the talk and no action. So the reality is each council district chooses who's on the committee. So for everyone in the public, strike number 5 all you want, doesn't matter. The decision's already decided because each council member chooses who's on the district. Now I'm going to bring up the most redlined neighborhood in San Jose. And I don't actually think that you guys are going to do anything, but I do think it's going to be cool to go back 20 years and say like, hey, remember that time I called this out and they didn't do anything? So that neighborhood is Gardner neighborhood. We share 50% of our border with District 6 in Willow Glen. We're considered Willow Glen. If you look at a map under Highway 85 and 87, you see a triangle. Well, if you cut the top part, tip off the triangle, that's Gardner. So no one in their right mind would ever actually separate us from Willow Glen. I support Dev Davis, and I think she can do great things and show that the community in Willow Glen is embracing, like they say, and bring us in. Bring in Gardner neighborhood, which is terribly underserved. We literally get train tracks run through our neighborhood. Most of our residents don't speak English. Everybody wants to help the people in need. Stop talking. Just pick one neighborhood and make it Gardner. Stop redlining us. Make it right. And truthfully, this has been so frustrating. It's one of the reasons I'm out of here. But if you guys don't fix it, the only thing I promise you is one day history will look back on this and declare that everyone that didn't fix it is wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Blair?
Hi. I'm working on issues in with East Bay Community Energy. I think I've been mentioning that lately. And, I've been asking some simple questions about the use of the Brown Act. And I made San Jose as a reference, I offered a letter to them with San Jose as a reference in how, how to maybe talk about the Brown Act better. San Jose, with the SAG committee process, they helped design some new ideas of how to consider the Brown Act. And maybe that can be applicable in this situation. I thought I would just bring it out at this time as a way to consider it, and good luck in what you have to go through. Thank you.
Thank you. Gabrielle?
Good afternoon. My name is Gabriel Manrique with Latinos United for New America. We are concerned with point number 5 in the mayor's October 9th memo. A proposed ban on communications to commissioners outside of public comment at public meetings. Luna wants that everyone in San Jose has a voice and representation in our political processes. It is very troubling that the mayor and council members are even considering to suppress people's voices in San Jose. Every person of our community deserves their voice heard. Council members, do not fail the people of San Jose and vote against point number 5 of the mayor's memo. Thank you.
Thank you. Number ending in 5140.
Yeah, I'm all about what the previous caller had to say about how everyone's voice has to be heard. And when it comes to redistricting, I hope it happens so I don't have to have Pam Foley as my city council person, because she doesn't do a lot. I don't know who I'd want on the city council. Maybe Deb Davis. She actually did some things done. But when it comes to redistricting, I wonder what District 9 is going to look like. It's probably the most neglected district in the entire city of San Jose. Bad roads, bad infrastructure, a lot of buildings that are burned, and nothing. It looks like Detroit around here. Got a building in my neighborhood caught on fire over a year ago, still derelict. Strip mall caught on fire about a year ago, still derelict, among other things. I mean, District 9, a building burns down in front of the firehouse. What kind of district is this? It takes forever for the fire department to show up here. District 9 is the district that San Jose forgot. So if it gets redistricted, or however you say it, I hope that we get somebody who cares about the district. You got illegal dumping going on everywhere.
Sir, did you want to speak on the agenda item?
Yeah, I just did. That's my agenda. I have my own agenda, Sam. You know it.
Yeah, the item relates to redistricting, sir. Okay. All right, back to the committee. Forgive me, I can't recall if there was a motion here or not.
Yes, there was.
There was. Okay, thank you. And my apologies. Apparently my device was muted, so you couldn't hear me. So I got a new one. All right, any other comments? Okay, let's vote.
Arenas?
Thank you, Esmer.
Actually, I saw.
There was a couple of comments.
Two hands are up.
Oh, is that right?
Councilmember.
I'm sorry.
In Cameron's.
Oh, strange. Okay, I now see those hands. Those hands have been up all along, huh?
Yes.
Okay, my apologies, Councilmember Arenas. They literally weren't popping up.
Sure, no problem. So I wanted to ask staff if the last time that there was a redistricting with the last census, did we default to what the city clerk moved forward in their memo, or did we also include another outside entity to help us mold some of those? Excuse me for a second.
In 2010, the memo was put forward by Mayor Reed. There was not an open recruitment. This time we decided to do an open recruitment and use the application process. The application process wasn't used in 2010. Based on my understanding of the documents that I reviewed, we didn't, I was not here in 2010, but the documents just showed that the council was able to go out and appoint whoever they wanted to appoint, and there was no applicant pool.
Okay, got it. So it's quite different. And so we're exploring another different process, it seems like. Okay, one of the recommendations I have, and I heard really loud and clear that there's some folks who called in who are concerned about not having enough communication. And I know that communication is really important to all of us, and making sure that we are in tune with our community and what they're saying and their needs and wants. And so I wonder if what we could do is maybe have staff develop an analysis based on this recommendation that comes primarily from the California Common Cause to adopt some of those reforms. And if we could have an analysis on that and how that would play with the city clerk's memo. Lee, would you be able to do something?
I can work with the city manager's office. This is Tony, but Mark Vanny and I have been the one looking at the redistricting because of the charter. So I can talk with Lee about it, but I think that it would be city attorney's office and city clerk's office.
Got it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Perfect. So Nora, is this something that Mark could bring forward to a city council meeting, is some level of analysis on some of the recommendations that have been put forward?
If the memo is going to come to council, and so as part of that, the city attorney's office could weigh in if there were questions either as part of a memo with the clerk or separately. We can do that.
You mean at the moment, but not with a already developed report to present to council?
No, I mean you're talking about the recommendations coming to council before January. As part of that coming to council, we'd have to do resolutions, at least a resolution with some of those provisions. And if there's some analysis that the council would want, or some if there are any legal concerns, we can weigh in on those. We would be looking at legal issues primarily, not policy issues.
Yeah, good point. And I guess this is why I was looking to Lee, because I was looking at this as a policy item and not necessarily as a legal item, but a recommendation in terms of, is this the best frame, is this the best source that we can rely on? And I'm not saying whether it is or isn't, I don't know. But this is actually a very pivotal issue for many of us who might find our districts really changing, and redistricting changing that representation. So I'd like to hear from our department staff to see if there's any analysis that we can make on the policy.
Again, this is Tony. I feel like this is more on this in the city clerk's office. This is more my area of work than the city manager's office. So I'll take a look at this. I will connect with Lee just to make sure that we're on the same page on that. And I'll put together something. When do you want this to come back to council? We were planning on it just coming back next week. I don't know if I'll have time for it to come back next week.
Right. So it sounds like the best source would be our city clerk to make this analysis of the recommendations made by our mayor. And I don't know if you would have enough time by next week, Tony. So I don't know if there, considering the timeline. I just think that there should be some level of analysis when there's so many questions on our from our community in terms of what's being recommended, and that we, once we are in front of council, sometimes it's too late to say, well, now we need some analysis at this point. And so I rather have us step in with some level of, our department staff looking at what Common Cause, who Common Cause is. I know that they're bipartisan, although, I don't know the connections that that particular agency has with any one of us. And so I think that there's a level of diligence that we have to, that has to happen before it actually comes to council.
Okay.
Yeah, Tony, I don't know what the timing is on this, but assuming you do have time to do this and still for us to be able to get the redistricting done, I would just ask that, I think Common Cause can provide some information about what animates these recommendations, particularly the ban on closed door backroom communications, which seems to be drawing the ire of labor and some of their allies. Specifically in LA, I think at least one council member was indicted as a result of backdoor communications in a redistricting commission that ultimately moved a couple items, a couple of entities within that council member's district, which then had led to some bribery and ultimately indictment. The cities of Long Beach and Sacramento have taken the steps that are being recommended here, as is the California Citizens Redistricting Commission. I understand labor would like to have access to be able to talk to people ex parte, but there's a lot of good government reason why we would say if people want to communicate, they would communicate in a public forum or by email, which can be posted publicly, or they can write op-eds, or they can communicate in a host of other ways. But the idea of backroom communications to commissioners at a time when they're drawing lines on a map to decide who has what entities in their district is particularly problematic. And I think that's what Common Cause was concerned about. And that's what ultimately led to the indictments in LA. So maybe some of that information hopefully can be considered as well in your analysis. Any other comments? Okay, let's vote.
Arenas?
Okay, well.
I'm sorry, Johnny, did you, Councilmember?
I didn't
I'm sorry,
get a
for
chance.
some reason. Oh yeah, I'm seeing it now. Okay, Councilman Camus, I'm sorry.
Well, you know what, Mayor, I think you said it better than I was going to say it. And I just don't understand what's being advocated for. Are we wanting to do backroom deals? I had somebody come up to me and tell me, hey, I will vote the way you want me to if you put me on the commission. And I said, well, I don't want you, it made me feel like I shouldn't appoint this person because I don't want them to do what's right for me. I want them to do what's right for the city. And quite frankly, I just don't understand where this ire is coming from. It just makes no sense whatsoever to have city council members even further involved in making these decisions. It just, I feel like they're asking us to do backroom deals is what I feel that I think that's what I'm hearing. I'm not sure if I misinterpreted what's being said, but I certainly hope we don't exclude your item number 5 because I think it'll open the door for a lot of problems.
Okay, well, we'll decide this, I guess, at the full council. So more to come. All right, let's vote. And I'm sorry to both of you for failing to recognize you when you raise your hands.
Arenas?
Yes.
Davis?
Aye.
Camus?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Ricardo?
Aye. Okay, there's one remaining item, I believe, on the agenda, and that is the Community Economic Development Committee work plan.
Motion to approve?
Is there a second? Mr. Beekman?
I took down my hand for this item.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's vote on that item.
Arenas,
Yes.
Davis,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye. All right, on to open forum. Mr. Beekman, since you had your hand up before, why don't you jump in?
Thank you. Hi. Thanks for the meeting today. If it is of any help, the SAG public meeting process developed interesting Brown Act ideas for a large meeting process. To conclude, it was the intention of my public record last week to give everyone of San Jose a reference point in what East Bay Community Energy is currently going through with its nuclear energy use and decision-making for the next year. As the community of San Jose will be having to make some of these same decisions in the next few months with San Jose local community energy as well. And as part of its initial humanistic and peaceful intentions of recent new ACLU UN ideas of accountability, openness, public policies, and California state legal precedents with technology, surveillance, and data collection that is working throughout Santa Clara County at this time, I was hoping to give simply give an everyday person an idea of empowerment and a good way to directly address the people of the UN at this time, as the UN is starting to now question how to better democratize their agency. To again note, is my understanding that if an item is deferred and has not been before a committee or council before, it has to have public comment. The mayor has always been very open to public comment when items are being deferred. On its surface, these legal questions should be fairly easy to answer and can help work to develop good policy procedures and relationships this fall. I hope we can work on this issue. And to conclude, as I can agree with Martha O'Connell's ideas of how a more efficient public hearing meeting process with less public comment can possibly give access to more people in late night sessions, with the public meeting process being a fairly new process to myself, I feel the ideas of open dialogue and conversation may be a bit more important in how to develop an overall more open community democratic process. Thank you for your time today. Let me see how much time I have left. I have 10 seconds. Yeah, happy Wednesday. Good luck in housing ideas and how we can talk better about housing ideas. I hope we can all grow comfortable with that subject in the next few weeks and months. Thanks.
Thank you. The person with the phone number ending 5140.
Yeah, meetings have to be open because you have to be able to hear what people like me think, because it's not all these glad-handers that call in and think you're so wonderful. You guys remember when they removed baby Jesus from Christmas in the Park? They did that illegally in a secret session. Hammer and the rest of her people did that illegally. They voted and had baby Jesus removed from Christmas in the Park illegally on a Saturday when she should have been in synagogue, by the way. Okay? But what happened? They voted for it illegally, and the wimps at San Jose Police Department were the ones who removed the Christ child from the manger. Unbelievable they did that. The San Jose Police Department's got to be the wimpiest organization in the world to follow rules from an illegal meeting that Hammer had. Matter of fact, you should take her picture down in City Hall because she's the ugliest woman I've ever seen in my whole life. Both in.
All right, thank you. We will adjourn the meeting. Stay safe, everybody.